If it weren't for my family, I couldn't be here. The support that network gives is why both my wife and I both can be at school at the same time. My full name is Toby Lloyd Tafoya Joseph. There's a few reasons I got that name. The Toby part is a family name that's been handed down several generations. Lloyd was my grandfather's name, and Tafoya was actually his last name, which is what I was born with. Joseph I got when I married my wife Shannon and took her name, so it's my maiden name. I was born in 1968 in a place called Colorado Springs, which is at the base of Pikes Peak, which is in an area called Manitou. It's the traditional home of the Tabaguachi Ute.
And this is where I raised my children in a cave. Bathed them in the river, washed my clothes, fed them, and they slept nightly in the cave. And we was told that we had to move, and I was astounded by that because I said, this is where we're from. And they said no, that we had to move our children, get out of there. And the police took us away from there. And that was, to me, they took me from my home. And so moving here, it was really difficult.
My spirituality is probably the cornerstone of everything in my life. Everything comes from that. As a Native American walking the Red Road, those teachings led me to a place in my life. It's who I am, first and foremost. Everything else is secondary. It's hard to explain sometimes because it's taken me my whole life to get here, but the gist of it is my spiritual beliefs led me to be wanting to be kind, loving, radiant, truthful, and just. There was a time that I had 2 children that passed away, 2 boys, twins. A year later, I had a 7-month-old daughter that passed away. And I didn't realize it at that time that I was an artist. But I got rid of that pain by drawing, by expressing myself. And I'm at a point now where a year after being in school, it's been a challenge. But I can say I now have skills where one day no longer will my family have to just survive. We will thrive because of this education I've gotten.
Through all of this, Toby and his wife Shannon still managed to raise 18 kids. Some their own, some belonging to relatives who couldn't care for them, and some who simply had nowhere else to turn.
There's 18 of us that I live with, which is me, my wife, and that large blended family, but it works. And it works because we have a spiritual foundation that we operate from.
But what makes Toby's story so compelling is through all these challenges in his life, he never stopped searching for a way to help others.
He's a good dad, and he tries his best to keep our family together.
What I admire most is really trying. You can pretty much be or do the rudest things to him and just not want him to be there, but he'll always be there when you need him, and he never gives up. He's very supportive. My dad's, well, Toby's been there. He's been more of a dad to me than my real father.
He opened his house and let me stay with him because I didn't have nowhere else to go.
I can't take care of everybody because to me that's also what family means, is taking care of each other. But if I take care of me, then I'm in a good place and I can take care of my wife. If we're in a good place, I can then take care of my kids. As a family, if we're in a good place, we can then take care of our community. If our community family's good, then we can branch out to our city, our nation, and ultimately the world. Well, the first class I took at Bates was a program called the Paddle to Success. It was a 6-week program that the South Puget Intertribal Planning Agency had put on, and it was the first time I could say I was a Bates student. It was an off-campus program at their main office, but it introduced me to instructors. It introduced me to the school and really what some of the Pacific Institute teachings were that allowed for me as a person to develop to the point where I can then remember the first day I started here as a full-time student in the digital media program. Both days, both beginnings, very scary. And my hope is that that's how I live my life, and my spirituality is the foundation for why that is, and then this program has just given me an outlet to express that. A lot of that is why I got into the digital media program. My culture, who I am, my own background. I consider myself a cultural tribal historian in context to the Indian story, and what it's led me to do is go, that story needs to be told from our perspective. It's not been as effectively as I think it can be, and there have been people like Phil Lucas, Sherman Alexie, a host of other people who have helped to put our people out into the forefront, become a larger part of what it means to even just be American.
Toby's a Native American who has a strong desire to carry on his storytelling tradition. That same tradition is being carried on today, but the only difference is Toby's using modern technology to do it. The story's the same, how it's going to be told is going to be unique. And Toby has a great storytelling format. He knows how to tell a story, he knows how to get people to be involved in the story. So I think that as he progresses in his final quarters here at Bates in digital media, he's going to be able to put more complex ideas together.
I had to figure out in my life, how do I do that?
We just have to wait and see. But I'd rather be working for a paycheck than waiting to win the lottery. Besides, maybe this time it's different.
Toby's relationship with the class is two roads. The first road is Toby as student. Toby really admires what other people do, and he looks at what these people are creating, and he can emulate that. And that's when he really started to take off. He stopped focusing on, I need to learn the program, but switched it to, I need to tell a story, and this is the tool I'm going to use. Toby, who when he first started was in the box, has jumped outside of the box, and he's learned that from other students that have that naturally flowing through them. The second road that Toby travels is as a teacher. One of the things that I firmly believe, and Bates does also, is that student and peer teaching helps the learning process. When you can teach it, you know it. And Toby is a wonderful teacher. His nephew is currently in my class, and his nephew is learning through Toby as much as he's learning through the instruction that I'm giving.
In the future, I'm going to try to help my uncle with our Native beliefs, help other people recognize who they are. That's one of my main goals with him. Toby's just a real big role model in my life. He's actually helped me in a lot of paths in my life. Like, for example, coming here to Bates. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
This period of time here for me has been really exciting. And so if there was one piece of information or something that I think would be important to tell to a new student who is coming into this program, don't let it overwhelm you the first day.